Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hey, welcome everybody. Another amazing Spiritual Rockstar Podcast show. I'm so grateful to be with you today. And I am celebrating at the time of this recording. There's 300 episodes. We're in the top 3% in the world of podcasting, podcasts out there. And yes, I actually have had a six-figure podcast pretty much, I think, from the very first year. I'd have to go back and double check, but yes. And so I wanted to share with you how to create a six-figure podcast yourself. So if you're interested in that, if that sounds interesting to you, to add that into for your revenue, that or something greater, or you just want to really get your business going to another level because it's not at that six-figure level yet, that this could be an absolute key to it. And so I want to share with you some of the ingredients that allows that to happen.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate Make Money meditation today.
Feel free to take some notes and start working on it right now. So let's get right down into it. All right. So the first thing is I've got like 5 different points I'm going to make with you today, primarily 5 overarching kind of points to help you to create your own six-figure podcast. It'll help you to go down that road. All right. And some of you might be able to take this information and just make something happen right away. And others of you may not. So before I am going to jump right into it, but before I get right into that first bullet point, for those of you that have never heard of me before and you're listening for the first time, I want you to know I've been at this for a while. I've been online since 2006. I've seen a lot of things come and go in this industry, and I'll tell you, podcasting is here for a while. Okay, like this isn't like some quick fad. It's been building and building and building, and I've done a lot of things, online. I've been a energy healing coach and healer or whatever. And I've helped people to learn more about their passion, their purpose, and to live that. I've helped people with their businesses. I've helped healers to gain the ability to do energy scanning and tuning in like I do. And I still do, pretty much all that work still to a degree. And then I also had an academy for invincible healers for years, a multi-six-figure business, help people to be able to tune in through the energy scan technique and to gain new clients and learn more about marketing and business and all that, and getting clients and building six-figure businesses. In some cases for them, a lot of the healers I would connect with are so heart-centered that they honestly, like, they just were disconnected from the money vibe. And then since then, I've been working with people who are more interested in sales, because that got to be more interesting to me than continuing to only do what I was doing back with the academy, which was a lot with the energy scanning, with gaining new clients, yes, and building business, yes, but not as heavy on the business coaching. So now I've been doing a lot of intuitive business coaching for a number of years since the academy. And and then I built this podcast in 2020. And like I said, we just hit 300 episodes, top 3%, six-figure business generated almost solely. Six figures is solely being generated through this podcast. Okay. And then I have additional revenue beyond that, but not massive, like most of my business happen. Wouldn't that be nice? Just to let it happen through one mode or medium, and then you could do more if you want to. But if you're a creative, fun person like me, I got more coming soon. I'm going to be building on top. So look out, here I come, right? But anyway, what has created that for me? How have I gained this success and have clients that keep renewing with me again and again, coming off of the podcast? They're working with me high level, high investment, one-to-one. how have I created that? Okay, the first thing is the energy is the key. I'm all about fun. Okay, like fun and then truth. So like this podcast, it's all about fun and truth. I hope you've been picking up on that if you've been following the show. Like it's all about that. And then so that's the energy, and then the mission of the show has to do with awakening. So I'm having fun and we're bringing truth to help awaken people to to truth and to the good energy and to their heart space and to deeper realities around whatever we may talk about here. Often we talk about business, but we talk about a lot of subjects here: spirituality, relationships, health, etc. So we've covered quite a few topics here on this show, because I like the variety. So, and I want to awaken people in many different ways. So when I created this podcast, I did not have like a formal business plan. Not really. I had a sense, probably opportunities could happen like this or that through the podcast. But I would say, because I am a very strategic person at my core, but at that time I wasn't being super strategic. I just wasn't in that mode in my life. Like I just didn't with the podcast. And I just kind of had an idea like, the clients will come, whether it's through the show or maybe my guests, I don't know, it'll happen. And I just want to do it. The main thing is I wanted to do it. I wanted to make the impact, and the money will flow from there. And I did it from my heart. I did it from love. I did it. So you have to, so my point is for you is you want to come from the right energy. You want to do it because it's something that's like you're giving birth to this amazing baby in a joyful way, it's easeful, joyful birth. That is possible. It's on a whole other topic. It is possible. When you're in a really deeply connected energy, to give beautiful birth to anything without all the pain. But anyway, so you get my point. You can create that way. That's what I recommend for your podcast. And to get crystal clear on your mission. Now, it doesn't have to be some head-based, mission. And in fact, I would say just the opposite. Get clear on your energy and let the words come to you what the mission is for the podcast. Like how many people would you like to reach? How many lives will be impacted? How will they be impacted? What will be the ripple effects? Like write out, just journal for like a page or two. If you really want to flesh that out, like just start writing it down. And then after you do that, if you don't already have an idea for a title for your podcast, just look through it and just keep tuning in and just let it kind of come to you. Let it just drop into your awareness. Like, what is the name of the podcast? Then sit with it and consider changing it. Maybe even get feedback from others. Again, if you do all this on your own, that's the way to do it. When I work with people, I'm able to help them just really deeply land with what the truth is for their podcast. At least that's what's happened with the people I worked with so far. And usually whatever I'm helping people land with the name on, I just kind of channel it myself often. Maybe they have an idea, but I channel an idea, and it usually ends up resonating for them that, okay, that's the direction, that's what that podcast is about. And then they add in all the rest, they flesh it out more than what my initial download is from there. So anyway, but you can flesh it out, you can tune in, you can download it. I didn't necessarily have anybody help me directly with doing this. So if you're really tuned in, hey, maybe you can do it, but at least that'll give you a start, gives you an idea. So number 2 is envision the grandest vision of your podcast. What is the grandest possible vision for your podcast? Would it be reaching? So it's a little bit different than the mission is like, okay, I don't know, it might start smaller, what you think, even if it's like millions of people at the first statement, but then is, writing down, okay, we're reaching 10 million people. Okay. Then think about the greatest possible version, tune into that field, into that energy. If you want, help with that, like, I've got like the dancing with your future ideal self stuff, like at yoursacredpurpose.com. And there's a lot of ways of tuning in, but most of you are good meditators probably, but like you just tune into it. And then you also meditate. I was talking about meditating and making money is our free gift and everything. So, and one of the ways we talk about meditating and making money is to just be like in the shower, like throughout the day more. Like, people say they great ideas in the showers because they're finally just still, right? So be more still throughout the day and just keep dreaming and tuning in. And don't force it, but just let it come to you. Oh my God, it could be like this, it could be like that, it could be interviewing like everybody in Hollywood, if that, billionaires or whatever, like what, and then the ripple effect from there, and then maybe like how that would evolve your work and who you would be working with and where that would take you, maybe as a speaker, as an author, as a this or that, like all the different ways that it could impact the world and then your life and who you are. So really just really dream with it, really get in a connected, I want to say shamanic sort of, connected state with it and play with that. And then maybe reincorporate that into, your, what you're journaling on your mission. Because ultimately what I always ask people to do is get an application going for your gas and put your mission statement right in there, make it 2 or 3 paragraphs or whatever, or 4 at the most, that'd be a lot, but you want to share that vision with the world, and it can also become part of your intro. You want to get people's attention, obviously, to want to listen to your show from the intro as best as you can. But so anyway, so that gives you a start. So those are the first 2 steps. The third step is, and again, I had somewhat of a plan, but again, I didn't even fully do some of these steps, guys. Look where I've gotten. I'm just saying, like, you can create more. Like, I'm working with somebody right now who the energy's through the roof, and what she's creating already is amazing. She hasn't even launched yet, but she is set up for a massive launch with her podcast because of all the things we're doing here. We're basically doing like these identical steps for her, and it's building now. So we developed a launch plan. And so what do you want in your launch plan? Well, you can get really heady about it, but again, we're operate that way so much. First you come from the good energy and like, okay, how do we want to launch this thing? Some pointers. You want to invite the highest level possible speakers for your first episodes. Like, you want to, like, what is your industry? Like, if you're in the let's say you're into ascension or something, like, okay, who are the top ascension teachers on the planet? Invite, maybe the top 3 to 5 of them onto your show to be guests on your show right off the bat. Like, people have it backwards. They're like, oh, I'll get this amazing podcast and these people will want to be on my show. You have a huge opportunity when you're launching, because they don't know who you are yet. Like, that's actually to your advantage. Once you're on a platform and you bring on like all your friends and all that and launch your podcast, okay, now that's how you're being seen. Like, oh, okay, I don't know any of these people on your podcast. That energy has already been created, and you already created in a certain way. Okay, now that's where you are. Now you're on a long pathway to building your podcast. But if you start, because the people that come on your show will build your podcast the best. Like, they bring the most people. Like, unless you have a massive following already, it's your speakers that are going, with big followings, that are going to help build your podcast the most in terms of, regular listen, the number of listens at one time, etc. Having a great show is what's going to determine how many ongoing listeners you have and how much it grows over time. So, but you want to bring on those top speakers. So identify them, reach out. I mean, maybe you have to reach out to 10 to 15 of them, even maybe. But, one of the strategies I use now for my podcast, because I already know people coming into doing this podcast. I've been around for a while, but, what you could do is do what I've done in the past, like with a summit. You could say, I'm putting together this podcast. I'm starting off with the top people in the field, and that's going to include, let's say, if it was spirituality itself, like, okay, it's going to include Deepak Chopra, Neil Donald Walsh, Eckhart Tolle, etc. It's pronounced Tolle. I breaking my old habit. I know his publisher. I guess it's Tolle is how you pronounce it. Anyway, so So what I'm saying is, like, you could say these are the people I'm starting to. This is the caliber of people that I'm going to have on, or I'm intending to have on. Okay, you don't, but you got to wordsmith it in a way. Like the way I did it was to say, the people I'm going to be hosting are these people who have already been invited. They've already been invited to come, or something like that. Like, make it more assumptive, but don't lie. But say that, be very clear in your intent. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Now, I don't recommend the strategy if you feel like you're pulling a fast one, it's all BS and all this stuff. Okay, don't do it then. But I'm just saying, like, if you get really intentional, you're like really clear, like, that's is what's going to happen. I'm bringing on this level of people up front. You will create it. You will create it. So that's what I recommend. Build it with the best in your area, whether it's a more general niche or even a specific niche. Find the best of the best with in terms of how much they're impacting their audience, their following, and make sure that they will, strongly promote too. We're all going to strongly promote together. You guys, like, we're putting a party together for all you top leaders, and it's happening on my podcast. Like, that's another way to pitch it. So anyway, you can definitely go to your own network first. Like, how do you get to these people? Well, look at your own network. Like, you might have some of these people in your own network. If you don't, who in your network knows those people, right? And then try to work your way in that way, or just contact them, on social media, etc. So all these different ways you can contact them. Okay, so you want to record at least 10 episodes to get started before you launch your podcast. Launching means you're posting, like, I use a service called Libsyn. It's a podcast hosting, service. There's other ones, I don't have an opinion on the best ones. When I started mine, the training I got was to use Libsyn. That's what I was told. So I just went with that. And it served me just fine. I mean, it's been going well for me. There are other ones out there. So when other people say, yeah, what about this? What about that? I say, I don't know. All I know is Libsyn is the one I use. But whatever, we find a provider, when you go to use that hosting service, like, it posted all over the internet, typically. So I put it in iTunes, Spotify, all these different places. And the one people focus on the most is iTunes. And, it's because that's where a lot of people apparently listen to their podcasts. Now, I think increasingly people probably are listening more and more to other ones. And also you have YouTube as well. YouTube is only going to keep increasing in the amount of listeners. And I'm not going to get into that part today, but there's a number of reasons why. So, but anyway, so you want to definitely consider, loading up a number of episodes. You can do like me, you can do video and audio. So you can go through those services through audio hosting, and through YouTube. But you want to get all these episodes before you launch, meaning the first time you post, you want to have all these lined up. It takes a while. There's lag time between you going to post your first one and it showing up. It takes up to a few days, up to 2 weeks. So you don't know when it's going to happen. Often doing a trailer or an initial episode with just yourself is the best way to launch your podcast, just to warm people up to your podcast. And then you have a full slate. You do an intensive phase of launching your episodes. All right. You want to think about, like, in the launch plan, there's so many things you do. You could do Facebook groups for the speakers that are going to be on, and or even maybe the target, you might even bring in your audience members. There's no one right way to do your launch. What feels like energy expansion to you is always the number one question, because that's going to feed it the best. When you're honest with yourself, like, what will really expand it, even if it's uncomfortable, but will expand the energy and the excitement, that's where you want to go. Okay. So no energy drains, right? So who is needed to help support your launch? Definitely want to have tech in place if you do not want to be editing your videos, posting them, and all that stuff that goes with that, all the technical stuff. So you might need to hire somebody for that. I don't have any big recommendations on where you should go for that person. There's places like Fiverr and all that sort of stuff, but I don't have a big recommendation. I have my own private assistant that does it for me. But yeah, look at the reviews. There's lots of reviews out there on people that are doing such work, and you can hire somebody, give them a task to do, see how well they do with it, and then consider hiring them full time if you don't already have somebody that can do it. There's all kinds of services out there say, we'll create them for you, and they charge you a lot of money, and we're going to get you more audience and stuff. Maybe it's good. I've never used it. I don't know that it's necessary, but that's something to consider. What marketing help might you need? You can definitely get to the highest levels without getting a lot of outside like marketing help, but having your energy right and doing things in a certain way to build the energy for the podcast is huge. And then there's just certain levers to use from that energy that allows you to reach more people and then to make money and then more money. Okay, so that's number 3, to develop your launch plan. It's too big of a subject for me to give more. I'm trying to keep this shorter, this podcast today. Basically, you're going to have just to review, like all these people, like whoever these top level people you bring in to start primarily, and you could launch with other people as well, but most of them should be higher level people. Then they're going to have all that audience. They're all going to be promoting. That's the biggest part of your launch plan right there. And then you can always get more people, your friends, your colleagues, whatever, other people that would support you in launching the podcast, and others who have maybe a mutual audience. Okay, so you do want to be clear on your audience, by the way, like, that's all part of, like, when I say in the mission, backing up a little bit, it's like, make sure you get clear on that. Okay, like, be clear on who it's for. You might not know precisely who it's for, but the more you're precise about the intention of the podcast and who you serve, it will help you a lot, in your success. Okay, everything's generally speaking. There's always an exception to something here and there. Okay, the next thing is create the shows that fully showcase your guests and you. Create the shows to fully showcase your guests and you. Okay, so it should be all about the audience, yes, but okay, and then it's about the audience. We want to fully showcase our guests that we have on. I recommend a mixture like I have of guests coming on, and then like this show here of me speaking on a topic. So have variety. You can have a lot of variety if you want to, but if you're going to do a lot of variety, you probably should do a lot of shows per month. So you're known for something. You're not just all over the place with your podcast all the time, and nobody knows what it's about. So it should have a consistent core of shows. So anyways, you want to make sure you're showcasing the best of the best of your people you have on. Like, I like to ask people, like, what are you on fire about talking about right now? Like, I don't care, like, just what do you think fits the show? I want to know what they're most passionate about. And then I want to lean into that with my guests. So one way to fully showcase them is to be clear on that. And then, just really, really give them the floor, but also highlight your own expertise as part of the show. Because they say things, if you've got expertise on what they're talking about, like for me, a lot of the topics, like I have a certain level of knowledge and expertise on it. Usually that's, on most topics is fairly high on my show. So fairly high. I wouldn't say real high necessarily all the time, but on some of them really high. It depends on the show, but like I have wisdom to share. So I do share it. I'm not just simply like just a question or okay, next topic. I'm sharing my own wisdom, and I ask you to do that too, because you want your audience to get to know you, because they're going to connect more with you, and you're bringing more value. It's more of a conversation than only an interview. I recommend that style. And then if you want people listening to your show to hire you, it helps for that too. Then you have your own shows to fully highlight yourself. On the guest shows, though, I do recommend you put in a segment like I do on mine, where I tune into my guests to highlight a little bit of my gifts with tuning into people. If anything, I could expand and do maybe a little bit more than what I do already there, make it even more powerful. But like you want to share something that highlights your work, right on the show, ideally. You don't have to if you've got other shows that do that, but I highly recommend that. So think about like, is there activation or a little coaching segment I could do with the guest if it was appropriate, or a tuning in thing like I do. I mean, what could you do to highlight your gifts? Yeah, so you do want to have, a clear outline for your show. Start knowing like what is the typical length of your show is going to be. I would recommend that at least. Again, you want with your audience to build trust. Part of that is being consistent with your episodes, constantly be posting, whether it's once a week, once every other week, once a month, twice a week. Try to be regular with whatever you commit to. And if you need to change it over time, it's okay, but try to be regular and consistent. So, your audience will trust you more. Generally speaking, the more shows you do, the more your show will grow. I mean, simply by increasing the frequency of shows you do, you're going to see more action. So if you go from like 1 per week to like 3 a week or 5 a week, you're going to see huge growth in your podcast. You're going to reach more people and make more impact. So that is definitely one of the keys to growing, is just simply doing more shows. Yeah, you have your intros, your outros in the show and everything. And again, like there's no one set format. What gets people's attention? What gets people wanting to listen for the intro? I could improve mine. Mine isn't, it probably needs more attention. But once you get it set, like it's, like you have to be really mindful, like, oh, I need to go back and change that and, and whatnot. And I probably will update it in the near future. But you want to try to get something that, lets them know they're in the right place and gets them wanting to listen, bottom line. And then the outros is more about like, hey, where they can go to stay in contact with you, to keep seeing the episodes, or to subscribe, or to rate the show or review it, and keep listening in. All those sorts of things as part of the outro. Yeah, things like that are things to consider for the outro. And then there's your ads you can put within the episode. Like, what kind of ads can you put in there for yourself first? Because that usually is going to make more money than paid ads to your platform, especially in the beginning. So, I have a make money meditation. You guys have seen here a million times. It could definitely be, feel like everything I do could be improved. I'm like, that could be improved. Definitely. So, but yeah, my list has, seems to have grown, with it, so it's definitely, there's some list building that's been going on by having that available, by advertising myself, and it makes more money because I have the opportunity for people to do more with me after they opt in for that free gift, right? So anybody that's gone to opt into that free gift knows that that's true. So yeah, ads. Now outside people, like, so how do you monetize it even more? Like overall, like that's the fifth thing. So four was the showcase. So we've got energy and mission. We've got, 2, envision the grandest version of your podcast. We've had 3, develop your launch plan. 4, create the shows to fully showcase your guests and you. Now 5 is, how will you monetize it so it can become a 6-figure show? And so again, you're going to build your lists by advertisements and things like that you do on there. People might reach out to you, just want to hire you. It's possible. I haven't seen a lot of that for myself, but I haven't, again, I haven't needed it. It just hasn't been my way so far, but I don't know when that could change. I mean, it's been 3.5 years at the time of this recording. I've been doing it approximately. So yeah, I'm open to that possibility. And then also we also have that, you're becoming an authority by having a podcast. Even though there's a lot of podcasts, millions of them out there, it's still a thing. Like, I've got a podcast, like, and the more you own the power of having a podcast, the more powerful it is, right? So if you value it and you see it as powerful, and that's powerful. It builds your aura, it builds your authority. When you have a sense of more authority and expertise because you have a podcast on something, then, you attract more opportunities, maybe more speaking opportunities, being on other people's podcasts. Like there's so many opportunities, maybe an opportunity to maybe even get published a book because you have a podcast, another way you're reaching people. They want to know how we're going to sell these books when you go to a publisher, right? Well, I've got a podcast. Well, how many people are you reaching? Well, you build a good one, you maybe can be reaching a lot of people, and it'll help you with getting a book deal or whatever. Like there's a lot of things that open up with that. People want to hire you more because, wow, you got a podcast, you're for real. And not everybody realizes it's, even after I tell people, they're probably like, oh my God, there's a lot involved. And there is, sort of, but not really. And then again, I could say it's really simple, and it's like actually very little things to do. Like, but people see it as a significant thing. Yeah. And then, so how do you build all this money? Well, from those type of things. Then you also have, like for me, my guests have become clients, and they just keep working with me. And it's not a huge number, but it's enough, right? Whatever the number is, has been plenty for me. It's been abundant because I'm very selective in my case on who I allow to hire me, right? I'm not like, well, anybody I could possibly help, I'll just work with them. No. So it's a higher investment, and I work with people at a high level. So that's my current model. That model's already beginning to expand, but that's been my model for the last few years. So not only has it come through my clients, it's come through those clients referring people to me sometimes. Also, sometimes people are guests and they appreciate my work so much. Maybe they get a sample of it. I give them a sample maybe of it if I'm guided to. That has happened at times. And then all of a sudden they're referring people to me, even if they don't hire me. I've gained 3, 4, or 5 clients, in one case from that. Like, so there's a lot of opportunities once you start connecting with people, right? With good energy. So, and then even people who, were referrals that came in a client, then they refer, right? So it's this whole thing. And then there's the opportunity to be an affiliate for your guests. And if they're selling something on the show, if you allow that, you could be making money. Like recently, I just embraced that. Like I wasn't doing that. Like I was letting that go. I wasn't bothering with it. Now that I've brought it in a little bit, it's not every show, but I'm not making a ton of money. But there's more money coming in now. There's more money coming in. And then you have like the opportunity for them to become affiliates of you. And I've seen that happen for me. And it's another opportunity to get new clients to go out and promote you. And then you have what you call the JV partnership, right? You're just constantly exchanging with the select number of people you really connect with, and you share a good synergy between your audiences to serve their audience and vice versa. There's a good match there. Those are great JV partners, people that will promote you, and then you promote them, to your audience. So these are just some of the ways. And again, there's like people that approach you once you build your show. They'll say, can I advertise on your show? That's happened, with this show. And so far I've said no. I mean, they're like, hey, I've got the check in my hand. You want the money? No, I don't want to do it. I just haven't wanted to do it yet. So if it doesn't feel good, if it's not feeling true or aligned, you just don't do it. So I've not taken that on yet, but I could if I wanted to, and it felt true for me. I could, add money that way into my podcast revenue. There's a lot of other things you can do, and I just don't have the time to get into it all today. But I hope this gives you a start of ideas for you to build a cool podcast and all the connections you can make. Like, hey, if you bring on a top expert in your field and they take a liking to you, who knows where that could take you, right? I think the big hurdle for a lot of people is just to get started, knowing what kind of podcasts they ought to create. I don't recommend just doing anything like, oh, I'll just do anything and just see how it goes. No, create it properly and, mindfully. And what I had going for me completely was just the energy and my love to do you have to love it. If you don't love something, the chances of it being a sustainable success are like almost zero. You have to love it. So I love podcasting. I love I love the video part of it as well. Like we video these and they go on YouTube. So I love it. It's like an endless love so far, and who knows what the future holds, but it's something that I'm just excited. I created another podcast, just two conscious guys talking, and you've seen some of those episodes we've put through YouTube on Spiritual Rockstar channel. So I'm just creating more with podcasting. I just keep having more fun with it. So I just really can't, I recommend enough the opportunity for you to have a podcast and to build an audience. And sometimes people say, well, I don't know, there's more efficient ways to make money than doing podcasting. But if you love the idea of doing podcasting, then that is likely one of the things you ought to be doing. And it'll position you in ways and get you to audiences that you may not reach otherwise. It's gonna and then also, oh, hey, the other cool thing is you can interview anybody. You're media now. You can go anywhere and interview anybody at any time. Like you can say, I want to be media at this upcoming event that's going to have all these superstar entrepreneurs, and I'm going to ask if I can go there and interview their people and host them on my podcast. I'm going to see if that's a possibility. And I've experienced that before. And you might even get a free pass to their event. Like that's a possibility, another idea for you. And the connections, it's all about connections. It's about connecting with people. It's about loving people, supporting people, getting behind the people you want to get behind, and creating maybe even a community. You could create a mastermind. You could create so many things, so many opportunities. So I love to play with this. I look at it as a big party that we're getting started through a podcast, and all the directions things could go that are exciting and aligned for you in this case. So if you're interested in getting this party started, like get started with these steps, or get help, and I am helping with this right now. I only have X amount of slots open. Obviously I'm one person. I'm doing it as a one-on-one right now. So if you want my personalized help, custom help to help you to build your own podcast and have it be successful, I'm here for you. Okay. I know that you got it in you. And if that resonates, just reach out to me and I'll help you to do it. And quite frankly, it's very possible yours will be way more successful than mine, and much higher quality even, like quite possibly. So I love that idea. I love the idea of mine growing and everything, but I also love the idea of you having an amazing podcast that's even way more successful than even what mine ever might be. Like, I love that idea as well. So, all right, guys, I'm just so grateful to have shared with you today. You can contact me at yoursacredpurpose.com or anywhere on social media, on Facebook, Twitter. I'm on there, Instagram, whatever, LinkedIn, like all some of the major ones, I guess. Like there's so many ones now. And just reach out to me. Just say, hey, I was listening to you. I'd love to see about getting supported to create a six-figure podcast, because it's really not that hard. And it's really easy if you have someone on your side to help you, bring you into the energy of allowing that to happen, to break you free. So that's why I say I'm an energy and strategy coach to help you to, manifest a six-figure podcast or something better. All right, guys, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to help, even if you just want to chat with me briefly, or you want to talk about like what that would look like. I'd love to talk to you. And yeah, I'm just grateful for you tuning in today. Take advantage of what I've shared with you if it resonates, and run with it. Okay, guys, like I always say, keep on tuning in, and I'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcasts. Till the next time. The Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.